Our YouTube premiere.
What up, Gabe?
Hey there, Ian. And hello, fellow Twin Peaks fans, or just curious nerds, whatever brought you here. Welcome to Blank as a Fart. My name's Gabe. That's my friend Ian. We're watching Twin Peaks. For him, it's his first time. For me, it's, oh shit, losing count now during production of this, as much as I have to dig in. We are well into the doldrums of the series right now. We're towards the tail end of season 2. This week is episode 14, I believe. No.
No,
Where am
it's 16
I'm doing my math
or
wrong.
17. 16.
Yeah, there we go. Episode 16 of season 2. This one is called The Condemned Woman, and you'll find out why. It's pretty obvious when we get there. There's actually some fun stories behind this one. One fun story. But we got some meat to dig into here. There's a lot going on in this episode. It's a pretty tight one. It's our girl, LG, and I shouldn't call her a girl. That's disrespectful. It's our woman.
Now she's an
LLG.
old lady. I think she's like 71 years old now.
Well respected Hollywood legend.
Yeah, she's back to
like small screen Hollywood legend, but
back to get this thing back on the tracks, on the rails, so to speak.
For one last go around. Before we'll get to that later.
Before we go too far, I just wanted Gabe is obviously the seasoned veteran in all things Twin Peaks. He knows he has a lot of knowledge. But maybe some of you might be wondering why you should be listening to me, why my opinion is important. Well, for you listeners, I can't tell you. But for all you people watching, I can show you. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's why my fucking opinion matters. Maybe next episode.
That one locked and loaded.
Maybe next episode I'll actually bring it down and show you guys. Anyway,
folks, it's real. I've seen it. I've held it. There's photographic evidence of me holding it. Facebook.
This is how we get the listener audience to watch the YouTube channel.
I mean, I had hair in that photo, so that tells you how long ago he won the Emmy.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
But it's true, folks. Mm-hmm. Emmy award-winning.
Anyway,
Ian Southworth.
There you go. All right, we can get back on track. Enough fooling around.
That's all we're here to do.
Oh,
Ian.
Is it? Okay, sorry.
Come on.
Sorry.
What else did you think we were here to do?
I don't know. Could be
watch Twin Peaks and fool around.
There you go. I guess so.
Couple other shout outs to some folks that have been following along on social media, other friends of the show, some friends of mine who I've worked with. We say hello to Minna and to Sasha. Thanks for following along. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to remember everybody that's gone through and taken the time to like a post or follow the account, and I think I've covered everybody at this point that we want to shout out in person. If I've forgotten you, I'm sorry. We do appreciate everybody who's tuning in and following along. And hey, comment, make yourselves known, like, share, subscribe. You know the drill.
We like it when people reach out and ask us questions.
Makes us feel big. Anyway, shall we dig in this week?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh wait, I did have one. I did do this one thing. So after last week's episode, just before I started watching, I typed a little note that said, "Will it get better?" And I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out. I mean, again, once again, we're seeing some storylines wrap up that we may not necessarily have enjoyed, or may have been, distracting us from other more enjoyable storylines. So, maybe it'll be a blessing in disguise in the end. But anyway, let's get to it.
For sure. Let's
Uh,
do it. Let's
our,
do it.
let's do it. Our very first shot this week is a small brass owl in a glass display case. Man, heavy on the owl imagery these last few weeks. And I don't think
Owls.
that's going to slow down.
Hoot, hoot.
It's on Harry's desk next to a chessboard and Carolyn's death mask. Is it Carolyn or Caroline? I could swear I've heard them say it both ways. We scroll past these items as we listen to the remainder of Wyndham Earl's recorded message for Cooper, which did not cut off after "It's your move." But all of it boils down to a lot more taunting and then his instructions. Got to publish the next move in tomorrow morning's paper. Make your move or I'll do it for you, he threatens.
Right.
Harry wants to put Cooper under surveillance, but Cooper assures him that if Earl wanted him dead by now, he would already be. Time to get Chessmaster Pete on the phone and find out what the deadline is to place that ad in the paper. The two men admire Caroline's visage as Cooper calls her the love of his life. Yeah, not much going on there besides a little more exposition and, continuing to establish Earl as like Cooper's final boss here.
Right. Yeah, I didn't write any notes on this. It just seemed like
A little more Cooper Harry bonding, but I don't think there's much more to explore from that relationship at this point. Yet. Cut to the Blue Pine Lodge, where we see Pete receiving his call to duty from Lucy. But he's got breakfast to serve first. It's just some kiwi and toast for Catherine. But Andrew gets a full breakfast plate in the shape of a dog's face, which the two old men find utterly hilarious.
Hilarious. I don't know why, but it's hilarious.
I'll admit I cracked up. Mostly at Jack Nance, who plays Pete here. I thought his reaction felt very genuine to me.
I didn't find...
But it felt like the two of them had good chemistry here. I enjoyed it. This was a really, really good showcase for Dan O'Herlihy, I think. This is probably the most screen time he's had in any episode.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, heavy on that. Blue. Catherine's disdain for their juvenile antics is palpable as Pete makes his way out the door and Andrew chides her for her lack of humor. Much like I do to Ian while he watches this show.
Right?
She asks, I am totally Andrew, and he is Catherine in this episode. She asks her brother about the progress on their Ghostwood project. He's got funding coming from France, apparently, before Josie enters with an armful of kindling. She freezes in terror as she hears Andrew's voice, and then faints dead away as she sees her husband alive again at the breakfast table, which amuses the Packard siblings to no end.
I mean...
Yeah?
What?
Did this borrow something from another famous movie scene?
Did this?
Yeah. This remind you of anything? So I'll give you the hint that it's a Tim Burton movie. And the line is, honey, you'll never believe what happened to me today. And it's the same thing. She freezes in terror at the door.
Oh, Batman.
That's right.
Yeah, gotcha.
This is not the first movie that we're going to crib from tonight.
Oh,
I will point out the other one later on.
Okay.
But it seems pretty obvious to me. I think Josie actually looked afraid this week. Not more so. We'll get into it later.
Yeah,
Big showcase. This was a Joan Shen heavy episode.
It's a Josie heavy episode about, and it's something I don't really, obviously I don't really care about this ultimately what's going on here, but like they take it to a direction that I didn't see coming, and
so a direction that nobody saw coming.
This is like what?
This is one of those episodes that's kind of key to like the whole what the fuck atmosphere of the show as a whole.
But it's,
Like this is one of those. The end of
yeah.
the episode is one of those moments that barbs its way into your brain. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, though. Meanwhile, Hawk is Dre. Oh, I am struggling tonight, folks. I apologize. Hawk is dragging Hank the Dick into Harry's office. Hobbling on crutches and with facial scars still healing, Hank tries to turn on the charm, but Harry is having none of this bullshit. Hank leans into offering info on the Packard murder, but Harry again is not biting. Then Hank gets aggressive and starts to imply that Josie was behind it all and threatens to go public with the knowledge. Hawk decides he's heard enough and kicks one of Hank's crutches out from underneath him, sending him crashing face first onto Harry's desk. We see a rare instance of Harry losing his composure as he hollers at Hawk to get him out of here.
I thought that was like
No
a
notes.
good. I mean, I have notes, but they're also kind of. I mean, I think that was a fun thing with Hawk to use it, like kind of do a bro move. That's fun.
Yeah.
The thing I want to talk about with Harry, and I don't want to talk too much about it right now, is that he's obviously the way he. I feel like we should not really talk about this yet, but the way he handles all this kind of knowledge about Josie is just so melodramatic and over the top, and it's just
We've never seen anger out of Michael Onkian
or
yet,
like kind of
and
like not even just anger, but just like I don't know. It's just very bizarre and weird, and it's not very good. It's just like it's so, I don't know. I was just very like, oh, give me a break, dude. I don't know.
you're not alone in thinking that. And this is not the last time you're going to say
No,
it
we
either.
see another. There's another crazy scene later, but yeah. Anyway.
Oh, I'm just implying this episode isn't the last
Oh,
you're going
okay.
to.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, there's fallout.
Even after
You
this?
can imagine. Well, I mean, there's fallout.
Oh, I guess, but still.
How do you suppose he's going to deal?
You think he'd like kind of.
Again,
Okay, all right.
we're getting ahead of
Oh
ourselves.
my God, you're not only getting ahead of ourselves, you're spoiling it for me. Jeez, no.
I'm just saying there's
Go ahead.
fallout.
Go ahead.
Over in the conference room, Albert's got more damning evidence on Josie. Sure enough, the bullet pulled from Cooper's abdomen and the bullets pulled from Jonathan's head were fired from the same gun. Albert is heated and is ready to take her down, but Cooper still wants to wait and approach Josie himself, hoping she'll do the right thing. Albert's acerbic wit resurfaces as he voices his disagreement with Cooper, but he doesn't decide to press the issue too much further. Yeah, old Albert coming
Yes,
back
I wrote that exact same note. It's like, God damn, thank you. Like, we're like,
because he's pissed.
I know, but like,
he
even
he
still,
wasn't mad coming in. He was happy to see his friends again. But yeah, now he's like, dude, you're being stupid. Stop being stupid.
but there's also like the last couple episodes. There's been a lot of love for Albert and Harry love, and there's none of that this episode.
You're right. Yeah.
It's just very like, come on,
Yeah,
come on, Coop.
the only way Albert discusses his love for Harry is, by avoiding him entirely in this scenario, which,
But it was nice to see.
he's not necessarily wrong, Josie is bad news, and we've all known it from the beginning.
Oddly enough, there are a lot of. I mean, this is like a callback to old Albert from old Laura episodes, and there's a lot of callbacks to original series in this episode.
There are, yeah.
So, anyway.
Yup. Tying up some loose ends here. But starting some new threads as well, which we'll do here. At the Great Northern, Audrey is ready to get to work. She's dressed in a smart business suit, getting ready to learn the ropes of all aspects of running the hotel, beginning with the concierge desk. Randy, the regular employee, does not seem impressed with her sincerity.
Who we
And
never met
Officer-
before, ever.
That's not true. He's showed up in a couple of episodes
Has he?
before. He has.
Oh my God.
I believe he was the one who helped Thomas Eckhart check in. But anyway, he offers Audrey a lot of attitude while he surrenders his post, handing her the envelope that was left for her by Wyndham Earl as he leaves. Audrey, who is now flustered and struggling with her name tag, is subsequently slow to offer any kind of good service to her first customer, a handsome and obviously wealthy gentleman. You can tell by that weird Navajo jacket he's wearing, just like the one Catherine had, right?
He's also wearing moccasins.
Was he? I didn't notice
Mm-hmm.
that part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not all he's wearing, but we'll get to that. He needs some help retrieving more luggage from his private jet at the airstrip. When he recognizes her as Audrey Horne, he brings up that he has a picture of her in an outfit that she looked really cute in when she was 10 years old.
Not creepy because we know this is a pedo show. So,
Not creepy at all. There's a fun story behind that that we'll get into later as well.
oh, great.
Yeah. She seems oddly charmed by this, but before she's able to get his name, he dashes off, helping a little old lady pick up her brochure on his way out the door. After the charming man departs, Audrey opens the envelope left for her to find a third of the poem scribbled down by Leo's hand, and an invitation to meet at the Roadhouse at 9:30 to, quote, save the one you love, end quote.
This is purely as a filmmaker, visual artist, because of the color palette and warmth of this show and how it's shot. I do not like it when they put the women in lighter colors because they just blend into the frames. I prefer when they're in their darker, like black colors and they stand out. What she was wearing was just so like blah, and I get it. She's doing a blah thing, but
Yeah, I mean, there might be part of it that's intentional,
it's
but
just like
I agree with
I
you.
prefer
It
it when
doesn't
she's
suit her.
a smarter, witty character, and I just feel like it makes her stand out in the frame better. It's just like, oh, this is like this warm beige looking wood color. It's just gross. I find it. I
Yeah,
mean, I've always had an issue with the color palette of Twin Peaks. I find it kind of gross. Like, I just don't dig it. Um, so
I don't know.
I
It's
miss
good for
seeing
his tones,
Audrey.
man.
I miss seeing Audrey in all her like kind of black outfits, regardless if they were sexy or not. I just liked it when she stood out more. Anywho,
Yeah, she's someone who has particularly fair skin as well. So it definitely something like this. It, like you said, it kind of washes out some of her noticeability, I guess you would say.
and even in later scenes when she's wearing something else, it's still like lighter and anyway.
Well, there's that fine line between, there's also like the fine line between wit and snark, and I think she's kind of on the wrong side of that for most of this episode.
Well, most of this season,
But I mean,
really.
there's fair, but there's some explanations for it that we actually get into later on, like a little bit of her motivation about why she's behaving the way she is. But we're doing a lot of jumping ahead this week.
I was just talking about the look. I wasn't jumping anywhere.
So Big Ed is straightening up around the house when Nadine arrives unexpectedly. She should be at school right now.
Talking about pedo.
Ed,
Let's go.
Ed asks if she's left school because she's horny, but she's not there to fuck. She's there to break up. She does her best to let Ed down gently as she apologetically explains that things between her and Mike got pretty serious on the wrestling team's trip to the state tournament.
She's lying,
So-
right?
No,
Is this seriously happening?
this is seriously happening.
Is it seriously happening? I was gonna
Mhm.
like, I could give the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, she's just lying to get. I mean, in her head, it's real, but it's not real. But it's real.
It's-
That's literally against the law, David Lynch and Mark Frost. Literally against the law.
The 90s were a different time. So yeah, it's officially over between Ed and Nadine. And though Ed looks on impassively as the two share one final hug, I think that we all know that the horny teenager inside of him is leaping for joy.
The horny old man is leaping for joy.
Hey man, he's only 38.
Nah, he's old in Twin Peaks years.
Yeah, he's old in 90s years. Back at the Blue Pine Lodge, Catherine is not at all covertly peeking in on Cooper and Josie as he continues to press her about her involvement in Jonathan's murder, though still not bringing up anything about his own assault and attempted murder. She continues to lie about everything, and after Coop name drops Harry, she finally tells him to leave. But on his way out, Cooper issues an ultimatum. Either she turns herself into the station by 9 p.m., or he's going to come find her. Catherine enters, asking if Agent Cooper was just there for a visit. Shouldn't that be Deputy Cooper? He's still under suspension. Josie's anxiety is visibly growing, and she's starting to realize how trapped she's become. Catherine, evil woman that she is, decides to pile it on, letting Josie know that Eckhart insists on seeing her alone tonight. And boy, won't he be pissed when he finds out Andrew is still alive. Or should I say, alive?
Okay, here's a man. I just can't stand this Josie subplot that is now the main plot of this episode. But like, this is how bad the writing is, in my opinion. Here's Ian gonna shit on the writing some more.
Sure.
She left this situation and escaped the guy, the what is it, Jonathan or whatever that Asian guy's name is.
Jonathan Kumagai.
Cool Magai. She should have just left and gone anywhere. She came back to Twin Peaks. One would think for Harry. You would think, right? Like, Yet we have not really had any real scenes of substance between those two at all. At all, like not even like
not since she left his place. Yeah,
like it's just like, I mean, we really haven't had that many scenes of them in general to really have built a real serious, like you had. Yes, there's a couple scenes of them kissing and a little bit of chat and like kind of a weird sex scene on the couch, but when she left. But it's all very disconnected, and now this whole season is built around the fact that she came back, I would assume, to be protected by him, but maybe not.
She discusses how she doesn't think that he can protect her from Eckhart.
Yeah, but we don't know that. We never really got any of that. Like, there's...
I mean, yeah, not in a concrete way.
Like, she should have just left. Like, never come back. But they brought her back to do this, to finish out this... I just find this whole, like, this is just another this is I don't, what are we doing here? Anyway, and this scene is just obnoxious because it's just so heavy-handed.
Catherine is a straight-up vaudeville villain right here, you know. She might as well have a mustache that she can twirl. But despite this villainy, Josie begs Catherine for help, to which her only response verbally is, well, yeah, you gotta face the music and confront Eckhart. Josie is pretty sure he's going to kill her. Catherine then walks over to the bookshelf and conspicuously removes a large novel, pulling out a set of keys from behind it. Oh, there they are. She leaves the book off the shelf as she exits the room. Josie wastes no time examining said shelf to find a pearl-handled revolver waiting for her, which she cradles desperately to her chest. Yeah, sure. I think you've said, all that needs to be said about that scene. So, let's get even weirder, shall we? Ben Horne is munching on a large stalk of celery in his office. As Bobby hangs up the phone doing some last-minute admin work, Ben invites Bobby to stay for the upcoming meeting, which Audrey and Jerry are also present for.
And then, like, at first I was like, oh, celery in a glass, what are we going here? But then Jerry pops in, and it's like, oh, fuck it, it's the Horne brothers, and it's food. It's been so long since the two of them have had food together. It's like a food
right?
scene. Yes. But I still don't. I kind of feel like Jerry was just around that day. like, like
Well,
his
he's
this
yeah.
scene is just kind of like, huh? Like I don't know. I feel like it was
The
all
scene
ad
is
libbed and just kind of silly, and I don't
some
know.
of it, yeah. Just the banter between the
I
brothers.
mean, I get it. It's an important scene because it's about the future of the Horn Enterprise, but
Yeah, we're establishing a little bit of a new direction here.
yeah.
Ben actually declines Jerry's offer of a scotch as he explains to Bobby the importance of schmoozing. And then the subject of their meeting arrives, and wouldn't you know it, it's that same handsome man Audrey met earlier. That's right, everybody, it's Billy Zane, making his first appearance in the Twin Peaks universe in all his toupeed glory as John Justice Wheeler.
Well, second appearance since he was just previously in the other scene.
On this episode, I'm referring to the episode as a
How
whole.
come you didn't give him that big thing when he was talking to Audrey?
I felt like this was a more appropriate time
Oh, okay.
to make fun of his hairpiece. He's a self-made millionaire, John Justice Wheeler, that is. Well, Billy Zane, too. Give him credit for that. Who started out in construction and turned a small investment from Ben Horn into an empire. Ben has added John to the board and is asking his old friend to return the favor and have his back on his next venture, which is a campaign to save the pine weasel. Apparently, Catherine's Ghostwood development would erase its natural habitat, driving it to extinction. Jerry, as the devil on Ben's shoulder, sees this as one of his typically shady ploys to stall the development. This draws a side eye from Jack and his phony bangs. But Ben's enthusiasm seems genuine as he reveals that the end game for this is a potential Senate run. Senator Horn, an interesting prospect.
So what happens to Billy Zane's character? Because like I don't really find him. I'm pretty indifferent to him. He's no better or no worse than anyone else in this show at this point. Like
Well,
what?
given what you've seen so far, what do you anticipate?
I mean, just the same kind of shit. Like he's gonna work with Horn and he's gonna try and fuck Audrey.
Pretty astute observation there, Mr. Filmmaker.
So
Excuse
what
me.
is it? I don't know. I don't. I mean, unless it like fucking
I
becomes
mean,
like
his
a. I don't really find him that bad.
really his only presence here is to be a love interest for Audrey.
All right, sure.
I mean,
Everyone
and also to serve as a catalyst for this character shift for Ben Horn.
is there going to be is there going to be a love triangle between Bobby, Audrey, and Mister Wheeler?
Thankfully, no.
Oh man, they're not going to play that up. I mean, he's been trying to hit on that shit for all last two episodes.
Yeah, no. Bobby's scummy ways seem to desert him, but he's taking the job seriously. You can see, he's
I know it's
working.
it's Bob.
Yes, Bob Briggs, the executive assistant. I like how he winked at him when he said that too. I thought that was, it's Ben Horn like
Pandering.
finding that. Well, because I mean, we have Johnny Horn, who is obviously never going to have this kind of
Right.
business relationship with his father.
Sure. Sure.
So I think Ben is definitely looking forward to being a mentor at this point. I mean, he is kind of overlooking Audrey, but Audrey doesn't necessarily need his help right now. Whereas Bobby could certainly use someone to, you know, educate the punk out of him, I guess you could say.
You know what's interesting though? Like when uh, Jack first came in and introduced him to Audrey. Obviously, I knew this was going to be a love interest, the way that scene was played out.
Oh, yeah, meet cute.
And then when his thing, right here in this sequence, I literally, I was in my head, I was playing the whole like, is Horn just going to try and set him up? And then I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but I feel like the scene with the three of them later on at like dinner, I feel like that's what her dad is actually trying to do. So
Um, I haven't approached that angle yet based on the dialogue that happens in future episodes. We might find out more about
that
that
might be
later. I
true, but
don't necessarily remember.
in that dining scene, it did very seem like I don't know.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, his excuse for leaving did seem odd, didn't it? But before that, we're off to the Double R, where Shelley is ringing up a customer at the register, while Wyndham Earl, in costume now as a trucker, is finishing up breakfast at the counter, leaving behind Shelley's envelope with her section of the poem and a rather paltry pile of change for a tip. Pan over to Norma on the phone, offering encouragement to her younger sister Annie, who will be arriving in Twin Peaks tomorrow after leaving the convent that she was staying at.
Mm.
Norma and Shelley wondered together about Annie's experiences. Norma commenting that her sister sometimes seems like she was born in a different time and place than she belonged. Norma finds Shelley's envelope and hands it to her. Shelley opens it to find her third of the poem and the same invitation that Audrey received earlier. And then Big Ed makes his way in, lets himself behind the counter, and grabs Norma in a passionate embrace, affirming his love for her and declaring, "It's our turn, baby." They share a deep kiss as Shelley politely exits the
I
room,
mean, he
taking a
proposes
demure
to
peek.
her.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. I mean, they're both technically still married, but,
Oh yes,
there's work to happen first.
he does propose.
Yes. But then Shelley politely exits the room, taking a demure peek over her shoulder as she does. Now, Leo is seated on a fallen log outside of Wyndham's cabin, whittling arrow shaft, and honestly doing a pretty good job of
It's
it.
like fucking of mice and men at this cabin,
Right?
dude. It's like what the fuck? It's like Leo. Oh my god! How is this guy not dead yet? Like, I would have offed this character so long ago.
Mm.
Anyway.
I'll give you a small spoiler for Leo.
Oh.
He gets what he deserves.
Oh my god. No way.
He's one of the, yeah, I'll just say that. I won't say when it happens or how.
What do we got? Like 4, 5, 6 episodes left?
Of the original series.
Oh, we have to wait till fucking the return, the
I'm
last
not going to
last
say.
episode of the return.
I'm not
Leo
going to say
Johnson.
You know how hard I'm working not to spoil any of that for you,
Leo.
including returning cast members.
Dude, please don't have Leo Johnson in the return. Oh my god, I don't know if I can survive. Okay, carry on. Is Leo? What is Leo Johnson? What is that actor's name?
His name is Eric DeRay.
What is he to David Lynch? Like some like nephew or like?
I honestly don't know.
Like,
he's one of those people that I've never seen in anything else. Although I know he does have like some other credits.
Illegitimate child. Like, what the fuck does he owe this motherfucker?
Maybe he just thought he was right for the part. Maybe he just thought that this was the perfect Leo.
This is why you have to question David Lynch a lot of the time. Like, is he really?
Okay. How often is he just trolling? Really? Who's to say? Wyndham approaches, still in his trucker outfit with the big fake gut, and offers Leo encouragement. Leo seems receptive to Earl's praise, smiling up at him dumbly. Wyndham rambles a little bit about the lack of Leo's practical education before attaching a wicked-looking arrowhead to one of the shafts. In his holding cell at the sheriff's station, Hank is wisely elevating his injured foot when Norma enters. After some brief pleasantries, she gets right to the point. She wants that divorce. Hank does his best to once again turn on that charm and play the sympathy card, but it seems like Norma has finally found her spine when it comes to dealing with her hubs. She denies him flatly when he begs her to provide an alibi for Leo's murder, so he gets threatening, grabbing at her through the bars. But Hank is powerless over Norma now, and she knows it. He seems to know it as well, finally resorting to just name calling, telling Norma that she's Ed's whore. But she claps back with, I'd rather be his whore than your wife. Hank screams after her as she leaves, but it's too late. It's over, and he's lost.
Uh, Here's a problem with the Hank character for me. Like, I think that
What's
guy's a
that?
great actor. He's completely wasted in this show. Like, they didn't really take
Honestly, like,
they
yeah,
didn't take
he
full
seems to have.
advantage. They didn't take full advantage of him. I think there's a lot of things he could have done to tie. They try to put. He's one of the characters that kind of goes across a lot of things with the Josie stuff and the Horn stuff, the Norman
Mhm.
and Ed stuff. He's like one of those characters that could have pulled a lot more drama through the whole show, and they just never used him. They just
Mhm.
I don't know. Is this I don't know. Is this the last time we see him, or is he just gonna kind of go to prison again? Like, I guess we'll find out. Yeah,
I
but
guess we'll find out.
I feel like if this is the end, they really this poor. I mean, he's pretty good. He's been in some other stuff I've seen him in. He seems like a pretty good actor,
He
and I
has,
think
yeah. I would
he.
say he's probably got the most extensive resume of anybody else on the show post the show itself.
But I
So,
mean, even Norma,
aside from maybe McLaughlin.
she she she's great in this scene. I mean,
Yeah.
she
Oh,
delivers
yeah.
that line great.
Oh,
Like,
and
it would have been
comes
great if
with
that was
trivia.
more aggressive. Like their shit would have got more intense and more aggressive. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a massive missed opportunity with this. It sucks that the Ed and Nadine story is the counterpoint to this story because it's like that is such a dumb fucking thing that I just anyway whatever.
Yeah, I hear you. And here's a little bit of trivia to add is that very line, I'd rather be his whore than your wife, was actually taken from this show and used later on in a film that made a whole hell of a lot of money. Can you guess what it was?
You know, I was thinking it sounded familiar.
Here's a hint. That line was delivered to Billy Zane.
Oh, is that in Titanic?
They stole it for Titanic.
Is it really in Titanic? Oh,
Kate Winslet says that very same line to Billy Zane's
oh,
character.
that's just a film. That's just Cameron
I
being
mean, I can.
cutesy.
Was Cameron the screenwriter on that?
Well,
I don't
no,
know.
but I could see. Well, okay, maybe not, but like I could see them. But they obviously that they had to have
It's a good
float. They had to
line.
have floated that line
It's
across.
a good line, you know. It's if there's going to be one line to recycle from this series, you know,
No, it's you know,
then be a decent one to use.
it did seem like it had been used before. I mean, it seems anyway. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's one of the more well acted scenes of this episode for sure. Upstairs in the station with coffee and donuts at ready supply, Pete is hunched over the chessboard, musing over the
Donuts.
possibilities. Oh, yeah. Donuts in the mouth, donuts being chewed on.
Yes, finally.
Cooper interrupts his monologue to remind Pete that there are only 5 minutes remaining before they have to submit their personal ad. Pete finally makes his choice, definitively declaring that Earl won't be able to take another piece for at least 5 or 6 more moves. Cooper praises Pete's work before Albert calls him away again. Harry sets his jaw tightly. Seems like he's starting to get the gist of what this is all about. Albert confirms to Cooper that there are powder burns on Josie's gloves, and it gets worse. There is an eyewitness that has her leaving the car that Jonathan's body was found in. Albert is pissed and drops the B word on prime time television.
Mm.
Oh, that's hardcore. In the 90s, in the early 90s. But Cooper assures him that he's got it under control. Down the hall, Harry exits the conference room, and the three men briefly exchange meaningful looks before Harry leaves.
Fucking 90210 right here. That scene,
Dude, it
like,
was
just ripped right out of 90210. Like, the look on Harry's face is so, like, I get the look you're supposed to be doing, but holy shit.
that was how you built tension on television in
So bad.
'91, dude.
So bad. So awful.
It was seriously very high school, but again, this is very uncharted territory for Truman's character. And as
Rough.
we're seeing, yeah, maybe somebody didn't give him a big enough lantern.
Anyway, that was funny.
Uh,
I put, like,
yeah.
oh my god, that's dumb. But yes, I get it. I get it. I get it. I see what they're doing here.
We get a nice callback to one of the earliest scenes of the pilot as we get a shot of Josie applying her makeup in the mirror. A knock at the door brings Andrew and a bottle of bubbly. Seems as though they're about to share what could be their last drink together. They reminisce a little bit about their history. Andrew knows it was Eckhart's idea to kill him, but he also knows that Josie never really loved him. Josie begs Andrew for his help escaping her consequences, but he tells her Eckhart is her only chance to leave the country and avoid any legal trouble. So she better just tell the truth and hope he believes her. We won't speak again, he tells her coldly as he leaves her to sob.
No. I have nothing for this. Like, sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
nothing further to add except to crack another beer.
I actually feel like, I mean, obviously, I just feel like,
I
again,
am getting to the point where I am starting to feel pity for Josie.
but it's a broken record because it does feel like everyone's just playing her.
It does. And, she lets herself get played a
And the
lot of
one
times,
dude
but
that wouldn't play
she's
her,
done plenty of playing other people as
right?
well.
But
So,
like, I would find safety in the only person that hasn't played me, and then
he
anyway,
plays her.
whatever. No,
Yeah.
like in Harry. I mean,
Well, yeah.
what I'm
Harry,
saying is
well,
Harry is like he would protect her or try to find a way to. I don't know. I just feel like this is a very weird. Not protect her in that sense.
yeah, I don't know. Bookhouse boy or not,
But
I
then
think if
also,
Harry had waded in full bore, he would have bitten off more than he could chew.
sure, of course. But that's drama. That's what makes shows. Not this like, how many we got the Catherine, you got to do this. Then we get the fucking what is his name? Al. What is her? What is the guy that came back? The guy we just did the
Her
scene.
brother, Andrew.
Andrew. Then her brother Andrew does the same scene basically again.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's just like, okay, we spent. Do we really? I mean, I get why we needed Andrew's version. We didn't necessarily need Catherine. She could have had a gun or used this. Anyway, whatever.
Well, I mean, being as like Catherine was like Josie was essentially Catherine's slave, so it's kind of also
It
the
doesn't
only
matter.
person.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we already
Well,
saw.
that's the only person who could arm her, I guess. But yeah, I agree. It's getting extraneous. After a while, we see a somewhat happier meeting. It's Donna and James. They're having a picnic in the woods. Sounds like he's off the hook. He's off the hook legally, but he'll need to be a witness in Evelyn's trial. Donna knows everything that went down between James and Evelyn, and we mean everything. But she forgives him because she knows that Evelyn took advantage of him. Oh my. Ooh. I don't know about that one. She begs him to come back to Twin Peaks with her, but he says he can't. Not right now.
He can't. He can't come home, Gabe.
Can't come home.
He
Can't
has to
graduate high
ride.
school.
He has to walk
He's
the
gotta-
earth. He's got to.
He's a loner, Dottie.
He's
a rebel.
Yeah, a rebel. Holy shit.
She seems to understand that she's been present for all the bad things that he's trying to run away from, and that he probably needs space from her.
Laura gets a
Uh,
callback, dude. Finally, it's
we
her
do.
own
Yeah, we haven't
Laura's
mentioned Laura in
show,
a while.
and
And Maddie.
and Maddie, but like Laura, come on, it's really Laura's
Yeah,
show. I mean, she's on her face is on the credits.
she's in the
Uh,
credits. Yeah.
she gets a callback. Like it's hey, yeah, it is
Yeah,
Twin
that ties
Peaks.
into
It is
mine.
Laura Palmer. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he seems to tell her that she's wrong because he wants her to come with. But she says no, like she probably wants to finish high school, unlike the rest of all these idiot children who seem to have abandoned their senior year. James tells her that he loves her and he promises to come back for her someday as they make out on a blanket in the sunlight.
Probably sex. I mean, it's
Probably sex.
quite the picnic. She
It's pretty secluded,
pretty
yeah.
secluded.
Tucked away.
Got a basket and all the
We can't
food.
even see where she parked her car.
She walked.
I mean,
Clearly, she walked.
she walked the whole way. I don't know, man. I've seen that map of Twin Peaks. That'd be a long walk.
Oh, they
night
have
has fallen.
the location of the picnic site that is like, oh, Donna and James picnic
Location of
site over.
like those. They show you like the place on the road, like from the pilot, where they hide the necklace and everything.
Oh, that's
So,
funny. Well, I would like to know where the picnic location is.
hmm. Night has fallen, and in the living room, Catherine is reading Dickens and sipping tea, while Pete is tying fishing lures. You know, pretty average old people evening activities.
Not our first fly fishing reference in this episode, though, which I found
Well,
very.
it
I
is
kind
our
of found
first,
funny.
but not our last.
I thought it was funny on this episode. It's like, oh, we're gonna get some more of this. Anyway,
This is on it. You know, it's the hobby of the region.
I guess so.
There's an urgent knock at the door. Catherine's complete lack of action forces Pete to answer it. It's Harry looking for Josie. Catherine spins a yarn of shit trying to misdirect Harry, but Pete confirms that Josie told him that she was headed to the Great Northern to meet an old friend. Catherine does confirm that this friend is Eckhart, sending Harry scrambling for the door. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. Eckhart enters the elevator at the Great Northern and requests the lobby.
It's TGRI guy.
TGRI. Or it's Evil from Time Bandits.
Nope, it's
I forgot to
TGRI
mention
guy.
that one.
I want to
That
point
one,
out his
yeah.
best movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, as TGRI guy. Anyway,
You don't think Time Bandits is his best movie? Or Tron?
again, just making
Did I stutter?
again. By best, I was being sarcastic. I apologize. No, Time Bandits is a classic. What?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Gotta love Time Bandits.
I mean, Tron's a classic too in its own right.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a paycheck,
Two.
and
Two.
2 is a paycheck.
Secret of the
and
Ooze.
Secret of the
Oh.
Ooze, and being known as TGRI guy
he's-
is that's awesome. Like the fact that that's why I'm calling him out every time. He's got to warm his cockles.
That is the one that sticks with you. Maybe I should call him Ra's al Ghul when he comes up. That's the one I remember him most fondly. As.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh God, I loved his reading of that. Loved his voice for that role. It was perfect. Let's see. The elevator operator suddenly removes his old man glasses to reveal himself as
An old man.
Andrew.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
right, Andrew. Sorry.
But a rich old man. And he stands up and shows his rich old man posture.
Yeah.
Yeah. He briefly taunts Eckhart for his sins before signing Josie's death warrant by falsely claiming that she tipped him off to Eckhart's murder scheme. Eckhart angrily claims that Josie belongs to him. Andrew says he no longer has any interest in her, but that the local sheriff might.
Talk about
after-
whores, Talk about whores and wives,
I'm not going to go there. Josie's another one of those characters that kind of makes her own bed, literally.
Like a whore.
And blah, blah, blah. The local sheriff might. After Eckhart ominously claims that he has already taken care of that, wonder what he means. Andrew further needles Eckhart by implying that Josie is far more clever and deadly than either of the two of them had thought. Before he lets him off in the lobby with a cheerful bye.
Bye.
I like this scene a lot.
Oh, really?
This is, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the scene that you get between the two of them. I just thought these are two pros doing pro things. Like they're completely inhabiting their characters here.
Okay.
I just feel like this was one of the better examples you'll get.
I think it just kind of hits home that like Andrew is basically just setting Josie up. Like he went to her
I mean, that's
room
part of it, yeah.
and he told her
But
to
we
go
also
meet
get,
him, and then he's basically telling them to. He's basically trying to get his revenge on whatever that is. Like if 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 he kills her or she kills him, he's just exacting some kind of revenge, and he doesn't really give a shit. Like he's playing that kind of chaotic character. Just like, I want you guys to fucking be over. Like,
yeah, destroy each other.
yeah,
Who gives a shit? Just both of you get out of my way. I think this does a good job of establishing the dynamic between those two characters, though, which we'd only ever really heard of rather than ever seen.
mm,
But we get Andrew as the mischievous one, the one who's always giving Thomas shit. Just like you can always see the two of them, like when they go out drinking, it's always Andrew laughing and Thomas just looking furious at whatever Andrew is saying.
sure.
I just feel like they feel like they've got history in just this first scene that they've ever done. So I don't think you do that without prose reading those lines. That's my take on it.
I mean, it's not really a necessary scene, I think, but it is a fun scene.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I also feel like the playing field is not super fair. I mean, you basically know that Andrew, he's basically there to just like, he's fucking with him. He knows that it's over for him. Like, it's
Yeah.
like this Eckhart guy was supposedly going to be this like badass devil character, and like but like the way it just seems like the way he's like talking to him and talking down to him, and like he's already owned him, like he pretty much
I mean,
killed
he
him.
really has.
He pretty much kills him in the elevator.
I mean, it's here we go relating to the chess game in a way, I guess.
Sure.
Andrew's made his checkmate move, and Thomas is only now seeing the trap that he's fallen into.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, that metaphor works on multiple levels for once.
Which makes, okay, before we get into this any further, which makes the choice of the ending, the ultimate. What is going on?
Oh, yeah, I'm losing you.
What was going? No, what the fuck is going on?
Has your cord gone bad?
I don't think so. What is going on here?
Sounds like there's a ring modulator on it or something.
Right, there's something weird going on.
Do me a favor and say exterminate! Exterminate!
Exterminate! Back, working.
Working.
We were talking about our good friend
We're on.
Andrew and
Yeah, Andrew and Thomas.
Andrew and Thomas Eckhart. Yes.
And their long history together. Could this be the last time the two of them ever see each other? Who knows? We do.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately.
Over dessert in the Great Northern Dining Room, Ben Horn is asking Jack Wheeler to basically teach him how to be a good guy.
But really, he's setting up his daughter.
Or is he? Well, I mean, there is a little wordplay here. Audrey does After choking on her food over her father's poetic use of the word virgin, Audrey straight up steals a line from Young Frankenstein as she asks J.J. Dubs to explain his current occupation. Can you tell me what that line is?
Wait. No.
What exactly is it that you do?
I did remember. Okay, I remember her saying that now. Yes.
That
Okay.
line is from Young Frankenstein. Can you tell me the name of the actress who said that line in Young Frankenstein?
No, because I'm not a big fan of that movie. So.
Oh, you don't like Mel Brooks stuff?
I mean, I like Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles, but I wouldn't call
She was
myself
in
like a.
Blazing
I
Saddles,
wouldn't
but
call
she
myself a
wasn't in
super fan.
Spaceballs.
I wouldn't call myself
All
a
right.
super fan, and that I would know all the actors in that. I mean, I know the main actors in the main actor or the main actors, Gene Wilder, and then
Yeah,
what's his name? Who plays Frankenstein? He was
Peter Boyle.
yes, he was in a lot of things, but I
Yeah,
don't
he
know
was
her
the
name.
dad, and Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
The German assistant was Terry Garr
Hmm?
from Mr. Mom. She got a lot of play in the 80s and early 90s. But the actress who uttered this line was Madeline Kahn.
I mean, there you go. I could have Wikipedia'd it,
You could have,
but I was being
but
honest.
I mean,
I try
hey,
to be honest on this show.
I have a very personal connection to Young Frankenstein.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's an early favorite of mine, and Madeline Kahn is a very early crush of mine.
Okay.
Very lovely, very talented.
I respect the movie. I respect people's opinion of the movie. I don't. I've seen it a couple times, but I'm not like a. I'm not a super fan. I don't know it inside and out like certain people do.
Yeah, fair enough. So anyway, what Jack does is he basically flips failing companies for a profit while making them more environmentally friendly in the process. Ben continues to sing Jack's praises, apparently inspired to quit smoking cigars on the spot, before he is suddenly informed by the maitre d' that the chef has apparently tried to stab Jerry.
Right?
Yeah, that's abrupt.
Classic. Classic.
From
Classic
straight out
Jerry.
of Monty Python. Ben excuses himself, leaving Audrey and Jack to engage in awkward conversation. Audrey continues to be hostile toward Mr. Wheeler, but Jack is able to politely drill down to the core of it. It's really just Audrey's fierce, independent spirit shining through, as she believes that the Horn family can weather any storm themselves without any outside help. That's fair.
And he believes that too.
He does, Um, but clearly his charms are starting to wear her down, and she arbitrarily blurts out at one point, "I'm only 18," before actually saying, "Look at the time," as a way of excusing herself for a meeting. She does finally call him Jack on the way out of the room.
Okay, I have a question.
So,
I have a question.
yeah.
I
Are
was
we talking age gap right now?
no, I'm fine with the age gap. I have to think that they're actually pretty similar in age, but uh
Yeah, so how old do you think Billy Zane is? Well, let's ask, how old do we assume the Jack Wheeler character to be? Like, I would peg him early 30s.
oh, really?
For the character, yeah.
No, I was gonna go mid
I mean, it takes
20s.
time to build up your own construction empire.
Nah, not nowadays.
No?
TikTok and Instagram.
91, though.
I don't know. I mean,
The
I'll
show
I'll
does not take
I will
place
give him.
these days.
I will give it 30. I'd give him 30.
Okay. Okay, then the question is, how old do you think Billy Zane was when they filmed the show?
22, 23.
Oh, wow, that's generous. What about
Is he younger
Sherilyn
than
Fenn?
that?
No,
Oh, really?
no.
I would think that they're
So I shouldn't say generous. I should say you're actually pretty close. He was 24
oh,
when he filmed this episode.
generous. Okay,
I mean, given
and how old is what is her name? But Audrey's character.
Sherilyn Fenn,
Yeah.
Sherilyn Fenn is 25. 25. Yeah. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25. 25 Well, yeah, there's even more to come later.
But when I
And having watched this episode again, I can't really find anything to dislike about John Justice Wheeler, other than the fact that he's kind of like a Gary Sue. He really does seem like an idealized version of somebody who has money, like would try to be. Like if I had a private jet and if I could spend enough money to own companies, this is what
right,
I'd do.
right. But is
So
also
it does
but
it just does feel like a character who's too good to be true.
is the native stuff like part of his like he is that or he's trying to like
Well, because Ben, they do say that he came up in Twin Peaks,
right. So
so
I'm
he's returning
curious,
to his hometown.
but I'm just curious if like he is native or is he not native? I guess or part native or I don't know. I guess
Oh,
because of what he was wearing and
well, remember, like I said, Catherine was wearing a very similar design
that's true. That's true. I guess it
in a
doesn't matter.
longer coat. So I would assume it's from the same outfitter that they probably found just
Well,
some random coat store in Washington.
I guess live. Here's the wild thing about the thing where Audrey blurts out that she's 18. It's like you're in a show where this so far that the age thing hasn't fucking mattered.
Right, like that didn't
So
stop her when
like
she was going after Cooper.
all that is telling me is that or him is like, oh, she's legal age. She can make her own decisions. Like it's like, oh, okay, cool. If she said she was 17, then that's like, oh, pump the brakes. Let's not do. But
Right,
clearly, anyone else in this fucking show, if you're
right.
like
He's not Dave
30,
Grohl.
fucking a 17-year-old boy is fine. Like, clearly, by this show standard, is fine. Not a big
Right?
deal.
Yeah.
As long as you pretend to be
Less
high schooler, you're fine.
20 years or less seems to be okay in this neck of the
So
woods.
I did find it weird when she said, oh, I'm 18. It's like, okay, you're an adult. Technically, you can vote. You can smoke
Right?
cigarettes. Like
You can enlist.
enlist. Like I don't. What is the point of that? I don't know.
I did like his comeback,
So
rather than Tea of China,
but it is funny because you were like in the beginning of as we were getting into this season 2, you were very Billy Zane and I like
I
watching
was.
this and I'm
I
like
was.
I mean he's not like anything special. He's not
And
like
so,
a
yeah,
great character, but it's like I'm very indifferent to it. It's like he's just a character.
yeah.
I don't
He's
know.
just a generic. Yeah, I don't know if I just have like.
I mean, I could see if you were young Gabe, like had the hots for Audrey. He's like, get away from that woman, get away from her. She's
Yeah, I don't know.
18. I'm.
When I was young, I developed like I shit all over him in the Phantom,
It's a great
and
movie.
I
Great
never
movie.
even saw the movie, and I don't know why I
Oh, you
hated
should
on him.
watch it. You should watch it.
I should, having watched this episode and like softening my stance on him, I might give it another chance, to be honest with you. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the vitriol that I've tossed his way in the past coverage has been undeserved having watched this particular episode. Like, again, there's nothing bad about his character, there's nothing bad about his acting, other than like he's kind of generic, kind of too good to be true.
And
That's really the only negative thing you can say about
that's
it.
kind of what he's always played. Like he's always played
Well,
like in
outside
Titanic.
of Titanic.
Well, no, but he's always played that kind of like good-looking boy that you're kind of meant to hate. Really, ultimately, like he's kind of just kind of that.
Well, and if they'd have given this character some of that depth, it would make him a lot more interesting. But he never really.
I
You
mean,
don't.
you're coming
You
on
get
this
what
late
you've
into a
seen.
show.
Well, not having known that it was going to be this late necessarily. I mean,
Oh,
who
they had
knows
to
what
have
they had in
known.
mind for a third season?
You didn't think that they knew by this point? It was
Maybe,
over? I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know. Anyway,
'Cause we do know that Lynch was back in the writers' room for this episode,
well, that makes
which we'll
sense
get
because
to later. Yeah,
because this fucking
yeah,
is
yeah.
like
We'll-
just
we'll get there.
stinks
We'll get
of
there.
fucking.
yeah.
It actually
Particularly
stinks
that
of.
final
It
shot.
actually stinks of fucking like. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Anyway.
Let's get this on. Let's get it on.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're almost there. Donna is making her way into the roadhouse where she says hello to Shelley. They share a cigarette as they realize they're both there for the same reason. They both got a piece of the poem. Audrey shows up and adds the third piece. Shelley reads the poem aloud, and they all mull over its meaning, while Trucker Earl looks on from down the bar, pursing his lips to try and hide a smile.
Okay, this is something I was meant to ask you, and I like got side railed. We never.
Mhm. Well, this
Do
is the
we?
first time that you would bring it up because no, we never see Donna receive her piece
Okay.
of the poem.
Okay. All right.
That threw me for a loop too. Like I had to pause the episode at this point and like go back and search my notes. I'm like, did I skip something here?
Right, because
No, we never.
we see Shelly and
We see
Don, or not
Shelley and we
Shelly,
see
Shelly and
Donna,
Audrey get it, but I don't. It's
or
like,
Shelley and Audrey. Yeah,
but I don't ever
we
see like
see.
the only scene we see Donna is with James, and she's never. Yeah, she
Yeah,
just
so
shows up.
there is never an explanation given as to Donna comes into possession of her piece. So I guess we just assume she got it in the mail or something.
I guess it doesn't matter, but I was just like, it was weird.
Yeah. So I meant to write this in or copy and paste this in, but I think it's on the IMDb page here.
It's
So I'm
finally you
going to
get all the
take a
three hot
moment.
girls together finally in one scene. They've never all been together, have they?
Oh, they were for the photo shoot for the cover of Rolling
That
Stone,
doesn't count.
which I've still never sent you that photo of, have I?
I've never.
Did you ever
Anyway,
look it up?
no, I never looked it up. But all I'm saying
Good
is that
picture.
okay, but like it's like oh, and Shelly's like fucking in some like classy looking gear. Like she's like in
Hey,
a
yeah,
leather
she's
coat and hair's all done, and she's like looking like the
her
best
night
out of
on the
all of them.
town, you know?
Anyway,
So what I'm looking for is the full content of this poem here,
oh, okay, you're gonna read it.
which
Huh? You
is a
gonna give it to
I
us?
am. I was going to give you a dramatic reading here.
Oh, nothing like a dramatic
So
reading.
yeah, it is the poem called "Love's Philosophy" by Percy Bysshe Shelley. How do you pronounce that? Percy Bysshe Shelley?
I don't know. I have
You know,
no idea.
the dude who married the Frankenstein chick. Hmm. See the mountains kiss high heaven, and the waves clasp one another. No sister flower would be forgiven if it disdained its brother. And the sunlight clasps the earth, and the moonbeams kiss the sea. What is all this sweet work worth if thou kiss not me?
Yes, indeed. And that's from
I
Frankenstein.
haven't won an Emmy. No,
That's from Frankenstein. What is that? No, it's
no.
just a prose.
It's just a poem authored by the
The right.
man who was the husband
Oh,
of
of
the woman who wrote Frankenstein.
and that's real, or it's just like fake
Yes, that's a
fiction.
real poem.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's a real poem.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Does he
Yeah.
have other poems? Like, did he have many other poems?
Oh, yes. Many large collections of them.
Hmm. Okay, so he's a poet of his own, not because of
Not because of, no.
he
He
was.
was a poet of his own long before he met his wife.
So they were writers, and that they shared a love of writing.
They did. It was a thing they had.
Clearly.
In his room at the Great Northern, Coop is sitting cross-legged in his bed, practicing his fly fishing technique with some wide-gauge yarn.
Actually, Gabe, we should hold on a second. Was there any
Yeah?
kind of breakdown or like the meaning of the poem that we should
No?
probably? No, there's no like meaning, no like kind of like
I mean, I'm sure there is, but
how it parallels. You didn't look into how it parallels the story or these characters or what it's supposed to mean in the show.
I would assume that it might just have something to do with Caroline, that it
Okay.
might have been her favorite poem or something would be my guess.
Okay.
Another way to fuck with Cooper.
I mean, we do.
Um,
Obviously, we're getting a second Frankenstein reference, technically. Young Frankenstein and then actual Frankenstein adjacent.
don't sprain your shoulder with that reach there.
Why not? I didn't. It feels pretty good, pretty spry.
It's loose. It's loose, right?
Anyway, I was just curious.
Coop and his Red Sox receive a call from Catherine Martell informing him that Josie is present at the Great Northern in Thomas Eckhart's suite. Cooper arms himself and heads down the hall, where he hears screaming from Eckhart's room and then a single gunshot. He kicks in the door to see Josie and Eckhart laying prone on the bed, eyes closed.
Okay, hold on a
Eckhart
second.
rises.
Hold on a second. Before we go too further into this. So Catherine
Mhm.
calls him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Harry has already been informed by Pete and Catherine of what's happening, so he's going over there.
Yeah.
Catherine calls Coop. Is Catherine calling Coop in the hopes that he gets killed? Is that
I
a
don't
setup?
know.
And then,
I think it's more of just like hoping Josie gets killed, honestly.
so why would she call Coop to let him know that she's there?
Because Coop's original plan was to come get Josie from the lodge at 9. So she didn't want him I don't know.
That seems very thin. Okay.
Hmm. I don't know. I guess she just wanted to make sure that Coop didn't miss all the action.
But here's the thing.
Maybe she
We
thought
heard
that
a gun.
Eckhart would
If
already
he's
have
in
been
his
dead
bed
at
fly
this point.
fishing, he's not listening to music loud or anything. He's going to hear the
No.
gunshot.
Yeah. But,
So why does she call him? She calls him. You got this. None of this makes sense. None of it get it. And then we haven't got to the end yet where we have to frame it with that also. But knowing the ending now, I have to think there's a larger framing on not only trying to frame Coop, but maybe trying to kill Coop.
On Catherine's part?
Well, maybe she's part of it, is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Black Lodge,
I guess I just
craziness.
Don't. Oh, okay.
Owls and.
Okay. That's something I hadn't considered.
Because, why? Why? I just don't get it. Okay. Anyway, let us carry on while we think about that. We mull that over as we read into the next.
My take is that Catherine's really not looking to screw anyone over other than Josie.
That's so.
And maybe her saying that is just to make sure that if Josie did kill Eckhart somehow, that she didn't get away without somebody there to catch her. So she wants as many people as possible to know that Josie's at the Great Northern with Thomas Eckhart. But then that doesn't explain why she lies to Harry originally. I don't know. We're thinking too much about it.
I don't think so. I think they didn't know what to do, and they're just they're just spitballing. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway. Eckhart rises from the bed to display a gunshot wound in his upper abdomen. He laughs and takes a few steps towards Cooper before drawing one last breath and then collapsing. Behind him, Josie is up on the bed with the gun drawn, claiming that he tried to kill her. Cooper asks if that's the same excuse she'll use about him and Jonathan as well. When he finally asks Josie point blank why she shot him, her only response is, "Because you came here."
Okay,
which is kind of the same thing that what's his name? Bernie Bruno? No, fucking
One Arm Man.
Michael Parks. No, Michael Parks.
Oh, Michael Parks. Yeah, Josie's excuse makes no fucking sense. So when she says that, I'm like, what? No, there has to be more to that.
Is it just like when the feds show up in town, everybody that's been doing something illegal starts to panic and lose their shit?
That seems wild. That's wild.
It does really seem like. But, it does seem like Cooper's presence has been enough to jostle a lot of stuff out of place in this town, in both the natural order and the supernatural order of things. So, who knows?
And then after she pulls the gun back, I kind of thought for a moment she was going to shoot herself.
Well, we haven't got there yet.
Well, we're kind of there.
A little more to cover.
We're here, aren't we? Right there, right now.
Why don't we just finish this scene?
Oh, you're right.
And then we'll do the discussion.
All right.
I'll try and rush.
No, you don't have to rush because I forgot that someone else swoops in.
We got a little ground to cover. She vows not to go to jail before Harry comes in with his own gun drawn, eventually actually raising his voice when Josie will not surrender her weapon. She begs Harry's forgiveness, swearing that she never meant to hurt him, before she begins gasping for air and then just keels over on the bed. Harry rushes to her, but it's too late. She's dead. There's nothing he can do now but cradle her body and sob.
Cue dumb shit.
Oh no. Oh, well, dumb shit, if you want to call it that. Cooper's look of defeat becomes one of astonishment as Harry and Josie suddenly fade from view on the bed, replaced by a bright spotlight. And Bob, crawling his way up onto the bed from the far side in all his manic glory, bellowing laughter and screaming, "Coop, what happened to Josie?" Bob fades out just as quickly to be replaced by the dwarf in the red suit doing his slow jazz dance on the bed. Now I'm starting to see where you're coming from. The vision ends and Coop tries to get his bearings. Then we pan slowly from the weeping sheriff and the body of his lover.
Let's go crazy
to
here.
a knob on the drawer of the nightstand next to them, where Josie's face suddenly appears, screaming in pain and trying to press its way out, distorting the knob into the shape of her anguished open mouth.
In pain?
Roll credits.
What? I looked on Amazon and the Josie Orgasmy nightstand was $19.99. So I think there's some other things going on here. She's like, ah. It's so bad. Whether she's in pain, she's captured, she's been put in this fucking night. I don't fucking. You know how like comics they fridge women? They fucking David Lynch cabineted a woman. I like what?
He knobbed her.
He knobbed. It's like what the fuck is this about? That's literally my last thing is what the fuck.
Now imagine watching this as your 13-year-old self in 91. And then not getting anything more from this show for 6 weeks.
It's like good riddance, man. Get this out of my brain. It's time to like move on. This is like a fucking evil girlfriend. Like just like she comes over, she booty calls you, and then she doesn't talk to you for like months. So it's like
right. The Offspring song "Self Esteem" was written about Josie.
There you go. It's just. I mean, like as it was playing out, it's like none of this makes fucking sense. And then at the end, it's just like, oh, just like fucking they.
Then it makes even less.
Well, it makes even less sense, or it makes perfect sense in the sense it's like, oh, so Josie was slightly being controlled by Bob, and is Bob fucking in control of other people, and like is the whole point, like obviously Bob has a thing for Coop, like.
Well. Here's where like a lot of fan lore or like fan theory comes together is that Bob is, a spirit that feeds on fear. And Josie was in like a tremendous amount of fear at that point. And like maybe he just like the implication is that he just kind of sucked the life out of her. Like she just died of fear.
Maybe. I mean, I guess they talk about it in this a while ago, like when Albert and Truman are talking about like the evil of men.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bob is the embodiment of evil of men, right?
Yeah.
So Josie has done negative stuff.
Josie has suffered an awful lot under the evil of men.
Well, yeah, but she's also the evil of men. I mean, man being man. Humankind, like it's like just the embodiment of the evil of humankind.
I would say that Bob, the spirit of Bob, might be a little more gender specific.
He wouldn't have shown up. Like I think he was in her.
Well, as far as you think he was possessing Josie at that point?
I mean, it's the same kind of shit that was happening with Leland,
like in the same way that he was possessing
but
Leland,
like maybe not fully. Maybe it was I don't know.
Or like influencing her.
I don't think it matters. I don't really think that matters.
That's because theory I never considered.
They don't explain it. They don't need to explain that shit because they use Bob and Black and White Lodge, and the owls is like this mystical shit that happens to people, and they go there and they don't. So like under that premise that anything can kind of happen, if he's
Yeah.
showing up, then obviously she's been tainted by it in some way. So like, I just gotta
You don't
think.
think just her fear would be enough to draw
Nah,
him?
I think she's part of it, and she's obviously it's a fucking with her. Like she keeps having all these health issues through this entire episode. I don't feel well. Oh,
Mm.
it's like her conscious is fighting it. So maybe Bob doesn't have full control or anything. Maybe it's just kind of a other thing. But it's like she's, I don't know.
You know? Yeah, we've never really established what Bob needs to get
We
inside someone, so to speak.
100%.
So,
But they keep, they started the episode with an owl. I mean,
like I said, I love having that perspective because that's something that I never really considered.
and she's a
Is
chaotic
that
character. She's always been a very chaotic character.
she really is, and she's very, she's been easy to manipulate from people more powerful than her. So
But
that's a
she,
great theory to throw out there.
but she did do a lot of the manipulating
Oh yeah, she did plenty of that on her own.
ahead of the time before.
But I would argue that she learned that from the men in her life who took advantage of
Sure,
her when she was much younger.
sure. I'm not gonna, of course.
It was something she learned and to use as a survival technique
But also, I think it's like
rather
also.
than out of sheer sadism like the old white men.
I also think it's like just a part of the writing group that like they needed to get out of this, and they used it as an escape route. Because like, what is the whole point? They could have wrapped this
Well,
up
I
in
will
one
say that
way.
the
They could
final
have
shot is, and this is true from back behind the scenes sources, the final shot is 100% Lynch.
makes. But
Josie's fate was scripted by Lynch.
but what is but what is the point of that?
You'll find yourself asking that question a whole lot when we get to the return.
Yeah, but is it? But does that?
There's some other
But did
theories.
those points pay off? That's different. If the points pay off, oh, great, great, great.
So here are other fan theories that I explored
So
for
every
this
time you touch
episode.
that knob, does it get off? Like ah,
Or does it yell at you? Yeah.
ah.
Is it like physically holding that shape? Like, does it have the mouth on it? So yeah, there are other theories about like the woods holding spirits.
Mm.
And maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be a living tree, but anything made of wood. Like another one of the theories is that the log that Margaret carries around actually contains the spirit of her dead husband who died in the forest fire.
Wow.
So there's a potential connection there. Anyway,
It's wild. It was
yeah,
a wild
it is
episode.
wild.
It was kind of like not the greatest episode, and the ending's like. At first, I didn't know Lynch was involved, but at the end, I was just like, "Oh, we're just throwing fucking it all at the fucking wall right now." Like, okay,
Well,
sure, let's do it.
we'll get into an explanation of why in a little bit. The first thing I have to do is I had to make a small correction about the Nielsen ratings. The ones I read for last week's episode were actually for this week's episode.
Oh, Gabe, this is
This
the worst episode.
This is the lowest rated episode of the series as far as Nielsen is concerned. The previous week is still the lowest rated IMDb episode. So that is last week's episode is like the least liked fan rated episode. And so, yeah. So this is the episode that essentially killed the original run. It was after this that they took it off the air and put it on hiatus for 6 weeks, not bringing it back until the middle of April when they moved it to Thursdays opposite Cheers again.
So Diane Keaton didn't kill the show.
No. Well, she probably struck the fatal blow. And it took a week or so to bleed out. Because this, as we mentioned earlier, this episode was directed by Leslie Linkaglatter.
I mean,
This is the last episode that she would see behind the camera.
very competently shot. I mean, it looked like a classic Twin Peaks episode. It's not her fault. It's the
Not
ride.
only competently shot, but competently paced.
Oh
It
yeah.
moves along at a good clip. We don't get. I mean, aside from there was a lot of story that she had to cover with Josie and with Hank, um, but none of it felt rushed to me. It felt like there was a lot of it, but it didn't feel like it was too much because it all served a purpose.
Again, it's just all the writing room. It's just the writing room is failing miserably.
Well, and they had some challenges. So let's get into this now, and I think this will be the last part of our wrap up. We will say our final farewells and our series wraps for 4 actors from the series in this episode.
Hank,
So we'll start with the obvious ones, which are Josie.
Josie.
This is the last episode for Joan Chen.
Oh, Eckhart, I guess. No.
We're not counting him.
Oh, you're talking regulars.
Well, yeah, mostly regulars.
So then Hank.
Hank is another one. Last episode for Chris Mulkey, or series wrap for Chris Mulkey as Hank Jennings.
And there's 2 more?
There are 2 more cast members who you will see for the last time in the original series.
Pretty prominent?
Pretty prominent.
Well,
One
like,
of them is going to disappoint you very much. One of them will not.
well, like Ed and Norma? No.
No. But there is somebody else who ran away this week.
Oh, James.
This is the
Rap on
series
James.
wrap for James Marshall as James Hurley.
I'm okay. I don't know who the other one is.
It's going to break your heart. Series wrap for Miguel Ferrer as Albert Rosenfeld.
Oh. Wow, that's kind of unceremonious.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of shitty. And
It
David
is.
Lynch didn't even bring him back?
I am not spoiling anything.
No, I'm sure he brings back for the return.
This is his final episode of the original series.
Okay. Yeah, I would say like that's kind of shitty that he didn't bring him back for like the finale of this season. Like you at least think they'd have another. Well, at least he went out as a classic Albert.
Yes, he did, and I do get the feeling that they had if there was a season 3, he would have factored in some way, like he would have brought Coop a new case or something along those lines.
You know what's tough though about this show, Gabe, is that you have such a love and endearing care for it, and some of those actors, and you're willing to like forgive them for their like flaws, and I watch it and I'm just like, holy fuck, this is bad. like, why? Like, why am I watching this? Like, anyway, sorry. You were gonna say you had some beautiful wrap up that you wanted to. I was just like,
no, that was kind of it. I was just
that's
wanted to say goodbye to those characters.
Goodbye, Albert.
Some of whom brought us joy, and some of whom, might have had better stuff to do if they'd have been given better material.
I would have been nice.
I'm sorry to see James go.
It's kind of, you know what? I actually feel shitty. Like, I wish they had got rid of the Laura Palmer photo and do something more fun for the credits, because it would have been awesome for like
more fun. Because
like
everybody knows this is a show about having fun.
Just James getting on his motorcycle and just driving off down the road, just like, and just rolls credits as he's driving away. Then he's like leaving.
Bill Bixby style.
Like we can't tell the story. Let's just show it. He's just leaving. He's never coming, and then that's it. You don't have to explain it. He left. You could do. I don't know. I just think nowadays you do. Anyway, I gotta stop talking about this. I've talked about it to death. People that listen are like, "Oh, yeah, we get it, Ian. It's the writing
Yeah, yeah, you're
sucks." Blah blah
kind of
blah blah
rehashing the
blah.
same point.
Stop fucking being a
I'm
dick
just,
about my favorite show. It's like, okay, sorry.
and I'm just going to kind of continue to try and defend them by the fact that a writer's room in '91 would have been a very different place. We didn't yet touch on the fact that the reason that this is Joan Chen's last episode as Josie Packard is because she asked to be written off the show. She had a movie opportunity that she wanted to pursue. So it wasn't necessarily in the cards for her to leave this early as far as like the planning for writing goes.
What's the movie?
They were really kind of backed into a corner. I don't remember specifically, but it was a pile of shit.
We gotta find it.
It didn't do well. She wasn't happy about it.
What is her name? Jocelyn?
Joan Chen.
Joan Chen.
And it might be in the trivia for this episode, if I remember right. Let me look.
Oh, that's a pretty good photo of her.
I mean, it's hard to take a bad photo of her. She's a very good-looking woman. When she's not badly trying to pretend to look scared.
Oh, she's in a lot of things.
Where did I read that bit?
It wasn't a film. Oh, it was a. All right, I just saw this has spoiled this for me. So she's in a deleted scene from Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah, you should probably stop Googling her now.
No, I just looking at her. So the movie, I'm guessing it's Wedlock with Rutger Hauer.
Not sure.
I don't
That
see
doesn't
many
sound
other
right.
movies. Temptation of a Monk, which is in her homeland.
Well, let me get to her credits here, see if I find that, because I know it was,
Turtle
I'd
Beach.
know the
Maybe
name
maybe
if
it's
I saw it.
Turtle Beach with maybe it's Turtle Beach, also
It
known as
might
The
have been
Killing
Turtle
Beach.
Beach.
Stephen Wallace, starring Greta Scacchi. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure Turtle Beach was the one. She talked about not enjoying the experience and regretting leaving the show. Oh, her grandfather was a famous Shanghai pharmacologist. He protested the Cultural Revolution by swallowing a fatal dose of cyanide at a public meeting after he was wrongly accused of being a counter-revolutionary and a foreign spy. Holy shit. Well, on that note, I don't have anything else to add to this week's episode.
it's it's like you're right. I mean, I wanted to be positive. There were some positives. I got classic Albert.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We got classic Albert. We got that great scene with Andrew and Thomas.
we got a bunch of fun
We got the good scene
callbacks.
with Norma and Hank.
Bunch of fun
Yeah.
callbacks to the original, kind of like Laura
And this was
Palmer and
better than last week's episode. You'd have to agree,
oh,
right?
made what? I mean, it was until the very end. I mean, the very end is a train wreck. It's just like to me, it just shows like we literally have no idea. This is just how we're gonna end it. Especially now knowing that like this is where she wants to be written off the show. Like, we'll do this. Okay, and then
Well,
we'll
yeah.
add some mystical bullshit to make it seem like it's Twin Peaks. So Bob's gonna show up, and the little midget guy's gonna dance on the bed, and it's just like, sure, all right, cool. But it just shows a complete lack of faith in some of the, not a lack of faith, just a lack of vision. Like, I just watching these. You're right. It is kind of a slog because it's kind of painful to get through these, but it's just like there was something here that you could have built off of, and instead we're just kind of. I feel like we're just cleaning up messes right now. All right, the Josie mess is
Mm,
done. We cleaned up
it
the
does,
Hank
yeah.
mess. James mess is done. What's left? Well, we got the Nadine mess. We got to figure out how that's gonna get cleaned up. What else? Obviously, I don't know. I mean, are Ed and Norma gonna have a happy ending? I don't know, but that whole dynamic has to get. They're probably gonna clean it up somehow, and then ultimately, the is Coop gonna the final episode? He's gonna put on the bat suit again and be FBI agent. Like, is that the whole redemption arc of this? Because I don't really feel like he's done much. Like, what is happening with that? Like, we know that Wyndham Earl is out there and doing shit, but like, and they're playing chess with Pete, but like, what are they actually doing to stop him?
Right. Like, is anybody looking for him? Or is
Like what
Cooper
is
just telling them, like, don't bother. Like, you're not going to be able to find him. He doesn't want to be found.
if he's gonna kill me, I'd be dead. It's like all these
Yeah.
like he's so good. There's no point. Like, so we're just gonna live our lives doing. We're gonna figure out other problems. It's like, what is going on with that? I don't know. That's you know what I mean. It just seems so kind of haphazard.
It does. It really does. And it shows, especially in this day and age.
It's like I'm even missing. I mean, I wish the quality of these episodes that are like produced wise. I wish some of that quality was like back in the earlier first season, where some of those episodes were pretty. Some of those were pretty messy, and it's just
Hmm.
like, well, you got a team together. It's too bad you didn't have that team kind of polishing the shit that was happening in some of those episodes and make that first. Because now I miss that first season where it was trying to be this thing. I don't know. It's I get it. You were young, a teenager. It was different. It's wild. It's definitely wild. I think if I was like like back then, 13, 14 years old, watching this, I'd be like, "Holy shit, this is 100% breaking new ground." Watching it so late in my life cycle at this point in television history, where television is so awesome. It is a because I don't get to come back at it with this like nostalgia look.
Right.
It's
You're
very
right.
it's very
That's
it's very
that is a
difficult.
factor.
It's
That
very
really is.
difficult. And I'm trying, Gabe. I'm trying to find the positives, and I'm trying
And I
to
appreciate it. And like I said, we don't have a lot farther to go
but I also am
before we
very
get to Lynch's pure vision
which
without
is
this interference of network television.
right. So like getting to the return is going to be interesting because then it is well this is
Well, Lynch's pure vision really starts with Fire Walk with Me.
okay. Okay. Okay, that's fair enough.
That's
Okay.
where Lynch takes over.
Okay.
Like
I
as
okay.
we've touched base on the fact that Mark Frost had no part in the production of that
What
film.
is your I guess I don't really know what your opinion of that is. You've shared your opinion of a lot of the others. I don't really know what your opinion of that film is. Like, do you like it or is it a conflicted thing?
It's a conflicted thing because, like,
It was a
I
conflicted
mean,
film when it came out, right? Like it was pretty mixed.
yeah, and it's a dark film. Like
Oh, okay.
it's not an easy watch. I mean, what it does is it's basically the last week of Laura's life from Laura's point of view. And knowing what we know about the last week of Laura's life, you know you're in for a lot of horrible shit.
Interesting.
And you really kind of have to just watch it all happen.
Is there a reason? Has Lynch ever given a reason why that's why he wanted to make it like that? Be it about that? Why did he revisit it? His Twin Peaks for that? Was there ever
I feel like part of it was he didn't feel like he told got to tell the story the way he wanted to.
of her?
I mean, of Laura, of the town, of like this whole notion of the dark underbelly under the idyllic small town vibe that you would get from that sort of place.
Do you think there's a way to cut the first season, or at least the Laura Palmer arc of Twin Peaks, with Fire Walk with Me as flashbacks? Like, if you were to somehow take it and somehow mesh it as you know how they do a lot of shows nowadays. They'll be like they exist in a flashback, but then they have present day, like Fallout or a lot of different shows do that right now. Like, do you think there's a way to like kind of create another arc within the show to make it more cohesive?
Mm, no,
You don't think so? It would give it away too fast.
it would. Yeah, yeah. Because oh, shit, it's hard to have this discussion without.
No, that's fine. You just say no.
I
That's
mean,
fine.
there's stuff that we know, but like, so Laura really doesn't learn that Bob is Leland until this last week of her life. Like, she doesn't realize that the two are the same person,
See, I
which kind
think,
of
see, from my point of view, I think maybe you can't take the movie and edit it into the video, but I think you could take that concept of that and put it in the arc. I think there's a way to,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are examples where that would work.
you know how they kept,
Probably not the film as a whole,
you
but
know how in the original couple episodes you would get
I mean,
those.
in some cases it wouldn't work because there are certain roles that are cast with different actors.
Well, sure, but
So
no, but I mean, I'm just like if we were to like redo the whole series, like in the first couple episodes, you know, they're watching like 8 millimeter video of Laura, and then there's those audio tapes with Jacoby. I feel like those things could have been done in a different way in the show to reveal more of that.
yeah, there are scenes in the movie that offer that sort of potential. Yeah.
And I think that could have been in the show, and then that could have been that kind of weird
Yeah, particularly of the
voyeuristic.
events. Yeah, the events in the cabin, the events in the train car. Yeah, we get a much more detailed look at those.
I would have enjoyed that too more with Coop if Coop had a bunch of those tapes, and like a lot of times at his time in the Great Northern was him watching those and having to go through all of that, him forming a relationship with Laura that that was more aggressive and
Sounds
different.
like
I think
this sounds
that's
like the plot to Red Dragon.
sure, but that's like I feel like that's a very Lynchian thing because Lynch loves voyeuristic video shit, and I think
Cooper as a profiler rather than just a
not
special
necessarily a
agent.
profiler, but he's just doing the work. But then I don't know. I think that's interesting to me. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would,
potential.
I think the idea of remaking this show is could be wildly awesome. But no one, here's the problem: no one would like it because everyone's so hard up on this show. So I would never touch it with a 10-foot pole, but I do think
Yeah,
it would be an awesome exercise, and I think it would be better. It would benefit it better. But
maybe when it gets like Lord of the Rings old, somebody can tackle it then.
because that's
And
that's
add in all the supplemental material, like
this
the
is
Cimmerillion,
oh for
like film the
sure,
prequel series with the
sure,
Milford brothers and all
sure,
their weird alien shit.
sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is not going the route of Lord of the Rings because this is not that literary document. But one can hope.
One can hope.
All right.
Well, if you don't mind, we'll take a quick look ahead to next week. We will get a new cast member introduced
Another
when
one?
Annie makes her appearance. That's right.
Wow.
Norma's sister's coming into
Oh,
town.
that's right. That's right.
Maybe she's here to serve as a love interest for a certain someone. Who knows? What else are we going to see? We'll see some more of Jack. Andy and Lucy will be back.
Oh my God! Please no.
And we'll get our first mention of the Miss Twin Peaks pageant.
Jesus.
Our first, but not our last. So,
Does Trump
if
make an
y'all
appearance?
will. Oh, God. Why did you have to mention that?
Because he's into pageants. He runs pageants.
You're going to eat your cats. You're going to eat your dogs. They're here to eat your pet. All your pets.
Yeah, they are.
Fucking hell. All right. So join us next week for season 2, episode 17, Wounds and Scars.
Wounds and scars.
Ooh.
And according to your meme, this is the last bad episode.
Oh. Well,
Oh,
that's subjective.
don't get your hoped up, Ian. That's yeah.
I mean, we're definitely, the curve, I think, has flattened at this point, but
All right.
all uphill from here.
Cool.
So, time to run that banner up top. It is blankasafart@gmail.com. Blankasafartpod at gmail.com. You've also got us Blank as a Fart at Instagram, Blank as a Fart at Facebook. Good Lord, Threads. Oh,
Blank as a fart.
why is Threads turning out to be just like Twitter? Why do people just go online to complain?
That's what internet is, Gabe. Karens.
I know.
We need,
It could be so much more. People
Could
be
be.
so much more.
people.
Be better, people. Be better.
Be better. Be excellent to each other, as we say on the Couch Co-op.
That's right. That's a good philosophy to live by.
What else? As you may or may not notice, we're now streaming live on youtube.com/milkmanpictures.
That's right. One less link for us to post.
I decided to move away from Twitch because of their kind of weird, creepy, gross ways.
I got no dog in that fight.
I mean, all corporations are evil. I just kind of thinned one out. Amazon, Twitch, whatever. And then what else? We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Audible, all the podcasting platforms that you can find the cool listening pod sound, soothing sounds of our voices as we talk in your ear holes. That's for you guys. I don't know. And I think that's it. I mean, that's all.
Open your earbulbs.
Stick us in.
Open your trembling earbulbs.
Enjoy. Feel it. Hear it.
Anyway.
We good?
Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
Join us. Or just catch up on all the other episodes that we've got out there in the ether. Thanks for listening, /watching, /enjoying. We hope to see you next week on Blank as a Fart. Take care, y'all.
So you like that fart sound? That's pretty original.
No. That was 3.5 out of 10. Hmm.